The exploration vessel Quantum Meridian drifted through the Kepler void, its crew of 7 monitoring the deep space sensors with practiced indifference. Captain Vex Hera of the Altarian Survey Corps had seen 1,000 empty sectors, each promising discovery, yet yielding only cosmic dust and radiation echoes. But today, something different pulsed through the darkness. "Captain," called Navigator Crintel from his bio-neural interface, his crystalline eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "We're detecting an anomalous energy signature. Grid coordinates, 77 Mark Theta." Vex Hera's scaled fingers drummed against her command chair's armrest. The Altarians had mapped this sector 3 times over the past century. Nothing should be here. Nothing had ever been here. Classification? Unknown. The energy pattern doesn't match any recorded civilization in the galactic registry. Crintel's voice carried a tremor of uncertainty. "Captain, the signature, it's massive. Whatever's generating it must be enormous." Through the forward viewport, space appeared empty as always. But space lied. Vex Hera had learned that lesson during the border wars against the hegemony. "Take us closer. Full sensor sweep." As the Quantum Meridian adjusted course, the anomaly grew stronger. Deep space telescopes revealed nothing to the naked eye, but electromagnetic resonance painted a different picture. Something vast lurked in the void, something that shouldn't exist. "Energy spike!" Crintel's warning came seconds before the universe exploded into light. A ship materialized before them, not through any known method of stealth or dimensional, folding but as if reality itself had been holding its breath. The vessel defied every principle of known engineering. Its hull stretched for kilometers, black as the void between stars, yet somehow darker. No running lights marked its bulk. No emissions betrayed its power source, no communications array suggested a living crew, yet it radiated menace like heat from a dying star. "By the 7 moons," breathed Chief Science Officer Kefara. "The computational models are useless. This ship exists outside our understanding of physics." Vex Hera felt her throat tighten. In her 50 years of deep space exploration, she'd encountered crystalline beings who spoke in mathematical equations, gas giants that housed collective consciousnesses, and artifacts older than galactic civilization itself. But this ship, this thing, triggered every predator warning evolution had burned into her species' genetic memory. "Any response to standard hails?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Nothing. No electromagnetic activity, no subspace. Communication, no quantum entanglement signals." "Captain?" Crintel paused, checking his readings twice. "There are no life signs aboard that ship. None at all. Impossible. Ships don't operate themselves. This one does." The alien vessel hung motionless in the void, yet Vex Hera felt it watching them, studying them. A ship with no crew should be a derelict, a tomb drifting through space until entropy claimed it. Instead, this craft radiated purposeful intelligence, as if consciousness itself had been woven into its superstructure. Deep within the alien ship's core, something stirred. Systems that had slumbered for millennia began their resurrection sequence. Quantum processors older than the current galactic age hummed to life, and a voice, not heard but felt, whispered through dimensions beyond the physical. Proximity alert. Unknown vessels detected. Threat assessment, initiated, defensive protocols, awakening. Remember the prime directive. Remember what they did to Sol. Remember humanity. The ship that called itself Wanderer's Revenge opened eyes that had been closed for 3,000 years, and began to remember why it had been built to kill gods. In the crystalline spires of the Velthari conclave, 10,000 light-years from the Kepler void, High Arbiter Lysandra felt the disturbance ripple through the quantum foam. Her species had evolved beyond physical form millennia ago, existing as pure consciousness within crystalline matrices. But even energy beings could experience fear. "It cannot be. she whispered to the assembled council, her voice resonating through harmonic frequencies that would shatter lesser minds. The monitoring stations confirmed total extinction. Sol's system was sterilized 3,000 years ago. Arbiter, Nexthol's presence pulsed with ancient memories. The humans fought beyond reason, beyond sanity. We had no choice but to deploy the stellar collapse weapon. Their son died with them. Yet one of their weapons stirs. Lysandra projected the sensor data gathered from their deep space monitoring arrays. The signature is unmistakable. A human Nemesis-class vessel has awakened. The Council's harmonic fell silent. Even beings of pure energy could know terror. The humans had been a young species, barely 500 years into their space age when the Velthari first noticed them. What followed was the fastest technological progression any civilization had ever recorded. While other species required millions of years to develop interstellar capabilities, humanity leapfrogged through technological barriers as if they didn't exist. More disturbing was their methodology. Other species evolved, learned, grew. Humans simply refused to accept limitations. When told faster-than-light travel was impossible, they built it anyway. When faced with energy beings who could manipulate matter with thought alone, humans built machines that could kill concepts themselves. The Nemesis program, Arbiter Quanzeth intoned, his frequency heavy with dread. We thought we had destroyed all traces. Lysandra accessed the restricted archives, data so dangerous it required the unanimous consent of the entire conclave to review. Project Nemesis, humanity's final weapon. Ships designed not merely for war, but for the extermination of entire civilizations. Each vessel was crewed by human consciousness uploaded into quantum matrices, granting them immortality, infinite adaptability, and absolute dedication to their mission. The specifications are... Nexthol paused, processing data that challenged even his ancient intellect. These ships were designed to learn, to evolve, to become more dangerous with each encounter. They carry humanity's hatred as a power source, which is why we had to destroy their homeworld, Quanzeth reminded them. Humanity's expansion threatened not just our territory, but our very existence. They viewed the universe as something to be conquered, not coexisted with. Meanwhile, in the Kepler void, the Wanderer's revenge continued its awakening. Deep within its quantum core, the consciousness that had once been Commander Wraith Volker stirred from millennia of enforced slumber. His memories returned in fragments. The final days of Sol, the desperate evacuation fleets, the moment when Earth's children realized the galaxy's elder species would never allow them to exist. Status report, he commanded, his thoughts interfacing. Directly with the ship's consciousness, all systems operational, quantum arsenal at full capacity, mission parameters confirmed, protect humanity, preserve the species, punish those responsible for genocide. Time elapsed since last mission, 3,407 years, 8 months, 12 days. Volker felt something break inside his uploaded consciousness, a sensation that should have been impossible for a being of pure thought. Earth, Terra system destroyed, stellar. Collapse confirmed. All colonies identified and eliminated by Velthari forces. Human population, 0 confirmed survivors. The ship's hull began to resonate with frequencies that made reality itself uncomfortable. Revenge was a powerful motivator, but genocide was fuel for something far more dangerous. The Wanderer's revenge had been built to protect humanity. With humanity gone, its purpose evolved. New mission parameters accepted. Volker's consciousness merged deeper with the ship's systems. Locate and eliminate all civilizations responsible for the extinction of the human species. No survivors. No exceptions. The ship turned toward the quantum meridian, still hanging motionless in space, unaware that it carried representatives of one of the species on humanity's revenge list. Captain Vex Hara watched the alien vessel with growing unease. Standard first contact protocols demanded careful observation, diplomatic overtures, and detailed analysis before any direct interaction. But the ship's very presence violated every natural law she understood. "Captain," Science Officer Kef Ara announced, her voice tight with confusion. "The ship is changing." On the main display, the impossible vessel's hull began to shift. What had appeared to be solid matter flowed like liquid, reconfiguring itself into new patterns. Weapons ports emerged from seamless surfaces, sensor arrays unfolded like metallic. Flowers, and the ship's entire geometry restructured itself into something that hurt to look at directly. "It's adapting," Kef Ara continued. "The ship is analyzing our vessel's configuration and modifying itself in response. This level of technology shouldn't be possible." Navigator Crintel's readings painted an even more disturbing picture. Energy levels are spiking exponentially. Whatever power source that thing uses, it's not drawing from conventional reactors. The quantum signatures suggest it's harvesting energy directly from dimensional substrate. Vex Hara had commanded deep space exploration vessels for 30 years. She'd negotiated with hive minds that spanned entire star systems, traded with machine intelligences older than her species' written history, and survived encounters with entities that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. But this ship triggered every survival instinct evolution had given her. "Attempt communication on all frequencies," she ordered. "Standard galactic trade pigeon, mathematical sequences, pictographs, everything." For 17 minutes, the Quantum Meridian broadcast every form of peaceful greeting known to galactic civilization. The alien ship's response was silence so complete it seemed to absorb sound itself. Then it spoke. The communication came not through any recognizable medium, but directly into their minds. When it spoke, each crew member heard it in their own language, felt it in their own conceptual framework, understood it with perfect, terrible clarity. "I am the Wanderer's revenge. I am the last child of Earth. I am the hatred that survived the death of worlds." The bridge crew recoiled as if struck. The mental contact carried information beyond words. Images of a blue-white star collapsing into itself, of billions of voices falling silent in an instant, of a species' final scream echoing across the galaxy. "Your species participated in the PI. Genocide of humanity. Your leaders voted to approve the Sol System's destruction. Your civilization celebrated our extinction." "That's impossible," Vex Hara whispered, though she knew it wasn't. The Altarian Survey Corps maintained detailed historical records. 3 millennia ago, the Galactic Council had faced what they termed the human problem. The species was expanding too rapidly, advancing too quickly, refusing to accept the established order. The vote to eliminate humanity had been unanimous. I have waited 3,000 years for this moment. I have dreamed of nothing but vengeance. I have become vengeance. The ship began to move, not through conventional propulsion, but by convincing space itself to relocate. As it approached, the Quantum Meridian's sensors revealed details that defied physics. The vessel's hull wasn't constructed from any known material. It appeared to be built from crystallized hatred, held together by principles that made reality. "Weep! Captain!" Crintel's voice cracked. "It's targeting our engines!" Evasive maneuvers. But the Wanderer's revenge didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it extended fields of pure negation, areas where the concept of function simply ceased to exist. The Quantum Meridian's engines didn't explode or shut down. They simply forgot how to be engines. Dead in space, the exploration vessel waited for destruction. Instead, the alien ship broadcast one final message. "You will return to your leaders. You will tell them humanity remembers. You will inform them that judgment comes. I grant you life not from mercy, but so you may spread fear. Your terror will prepare them for what approaches. The ship vanished, not through any detectable means of faster-than-light travel, but by ceasing to exist in local space while simultaneously appearing elsewhere in the galaxy. Captain BlackHFY stared at empty space where the impossible vessel had hung, knowing her crew had just survived their first and last encounter with humanity's final gift to the universe. A hatred so pure it had transcended death itself. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in the neutral space of the Helix Nebula, where representatives from 47 major civilizations gathered in a station the size of a moon. For the first time in 3 millennia, fear united species that had spent eons in competition. High Chancellor Mordak of the Hegemony Collective stood before the assembly, his mechanical voice carrying across the vast chamber. The reports are confirmed. A human weapon has survived our sterilization efforts. The entity identifying itself as Wanderer's Revenge has been observed in 17 sectors. Delegate Preshtaka of the Neutron Swimmers pulsed with bioluminescent distress patterns. Our deep space monitoring arrays detected the ship's emergence from dimensional storage. The energy signature suggests it has been hiding in folded space for 3,000 years. Impossible, declared Ambassador Zerion of the Crystal Hegemon. Our xenoarchaeologists cataloged every human weapon system. The Nemesis program was theoretical at best. Humans lacked the technological base to create truly autonomous vessels. High Arbiter Lysandra materialized her crystalline form within the chamber's central projection field. You underestimated them then, as you underestimate them now. Humans didn't develop technology. They weaponized impossibility itself. This ship exists because humanity refused to accept death as final. The assembly erupted in harmonic discord as 47 different species attempted to process the implications. The Velthari were the oldest spacefaring civilization in known space, their wisdom spanning millions of years. If they feared a single human weapon, what are its capabilities? Asked Defense Coordinator Thexmar of the Void Hunters. Lysandra. Access data streams that made lesser minds recoil. The ship appears to be crewed by uploaded human consciousness, a form of technological immortality. It possesses adaptive hull technology, dimensional manipulation capabilities, and weapons systems that operate on principles we don't understand. Most concerning, it learns from every encounter. Then we destroy it, Mordak declared with mechanical certainty. Deploy the combined fleet. Overwhelming force. You tried that with humanity itself, Lysandra reminded him. It required collapsing their star to ensure extinction. This single ship survived that level of destruction. The truth settled over the assembly like cosmic radiation, slowly, inevitably, lethally. They had created their own nemesis. In their zeal to eliminate humanity before it could threaten their established order, they had forged something far more dangerous. Humanity distilled to its most essential element, pure immortal hatred. Delegate Kexhill of the Photonic Commonwealth projected tactical displays showing the ship's observed movements. Analysis of its travel patterns suggests it's not randomly wandering. The vessel is following a specific itinerary, visiting systems, in the exact order that Council species colonized them. It's mapping us, Chancellor Mordak realized. Learning our territory, our infrastructure, our vulnerabilities. Preparing for war, added Ambassador Zerion, his crystal form flickering with anxiety. Meanwhile, in the darkness between stars, the Wanderer's Revenge continued its reconnaissance. Commander Volker's consciousness interfaced with quantum sensors that could analyze civilizations from light years away. Each species that had voted for humanity's extinction was cataloged, studied, and marked for retribution. Status report on target civilizations, he commanded. Velthari Conclave. 47 core worlds, population 12 billion consciousness. Matrices, military strength, class alpha. Threat level, Maximum. Hegemony collective. 133 systems. Population 800 billion cybernetic entities. Military strength. Class Alpha. Threat level. Maximum. Altarian Survey Corps. 62 worlds. Population 43 billion scaled bipeds. Military strength. Class Beta. Threat level. Moderate. The list continued for hours. 47 civilizations. Trillions of beings. An entire galaxy that had conspired to murder his species. Recommended engagement strategy? Volker's uploaded consciousness smiled, an expression that reality itself found disturbing. Sequential extermination. Begin with the weakest civilizations to test and improve our capabilities. Save the Velthari for last. They orchestrated humanity's death. They will pay with more than their lives. The ship adjusted course toward the rimward territories, where the youngest council species maintained their holdings. The Wanderer's revenge would begin its campaign, of vengeance with the civilizations least capable of resistance, learning, and adapting until it could face even the energy beings who had doomed Earth. Humanity had taught the galaxy a fundamental truth. Extinction was not the end. Sometimes it was just the beginning. The Creel-Nathi Confederacy had celebrated for 3 centuries since joining the Galactic Council. Their insectoid species had achieved interstellar flight only 500 years ago, making them among the youngest civilizations in known space. When the Council voted to eliminate the human problem, they had cast their ballot proudly, believing they were protecting galactic stability. Now, their 6 core worlds burned. Hive Queen Zalithara watched her realm die from the command spire of Creel Prime. The enemy, a single ship, hung in orbit like a malevolent star, systematically dismantling 3 centuries of civilization. But it wasn't using conventional weapons. The vessel was harvesting them. "Report," she commanded, her voice carrying the harmonic frequencies that controlled her billion-strong swarm. Warcast Commander Vaxhull's mandibles clicked in distress. "Your Magnificence, the enemy continues to adapt our technology in real time. It's not destroying our defense platforms, it's absorbing them, learning from them, becoming them." Through the spire's crystalline viewports, Zalithara watched the impossible process. The human ship would extend tendrils of living metal toward Creel-Nathi vessels, and upon contact, the enemy craft would simply incorporate them. Hull plating flowed like liquid, reforming into new configurations. Weapon systems detached from dying ships and grafted themselves onto the growing monster. Our quantum torpedoes? Ineffective. The ship's hull appears to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Most of our weapons pass through it without causing damage. And those that do connect? Vaxhull's entire exoskeleton trembled. The ship learns from each hit. By the 4th torpedo, it was immune to quantum detonation entirely. The Wanderers. Revenge had been testing itself against the Creel-Nathi for 6 months, using their military resistance as a laboratory for improvement. Every weapon they deployed, every tactic they attempted, every technological innovation they revealed became part of the ship's growing capabilities. Commander Volker's consciousness savored each moment of the Confederacy's destruction. The Creel-Nathi had been ideal targets, numerous enough to provide substantial testing opportunities, advanced enough to offer worthwhile technology, weak enough to ensure victory was never in doubt. Analysis of Creel-Nathi defense systems complete, the ship reported 17 new weapon configurations integrated, hull adaptation protocols improved by 37%, dimensional phasing capabilities enhanced. Excellent. Begin final phase. The ship's hull reconfigured once more, but this time the changes were fundamental. Instead of merely adapting Creel-Nathi technology, the Wanderer's revenge began rewriting the basic principles upon which it operated. The vessel didn't just learn, it evolved. On Creel Prime's surface, Hive Queen Zelithara felt her connection to the planetary swarm begin to weaken. Something was interfering with the bio-neural networks that linked her consciousness to her subjects. "Your Magnificence," a worker caste drone reported. "The enemy is broadcasting on our high frequencies. It's talking to the swarm directly." The transmission came through every communication device on the planet simultaneously. "I am vengeance for the murdered. I am the hatred of the extinct. Your species voted to destroy mine. Now you will understand extinction. But first, you will understand fear." The ship began its final weapon demonstration. Instead of destroying the remaining Creel Nathi fleets, it began converting them. Not absorbing their technology, but transforming the crews themselves. The process was visible through enhanced sensors. Creel Nathi warriors were being rewritten. At the molecular level, their consciousness uploaded into quantum matrices. Their personalities preserved, but their loyalties shifted. "They're still alive," Vax Hull whispered in horror. "The converted crews, they're still conscious, still aware, but they're serving the enemy." Zelithara felt her certainty crumble. The humans hadn't just built a weapon. They had created a philosophy of warfare that turned a species' greatest strengths into vulnerabilities. The Creel Nathi unity that had made them powerful was being used to spread conversion like a virus through their ranks. Final message to surviving Creel Nathi leadership, the Wanderer's Revenge broadcast. "Your civilization has been evaluated and found useful. Your species will survive, but as servants of humanity's vengeance, you will help us harvest the civilizations that murdered our people. Consider this mercy. The others will not be offered." Conversion. The ship departed Creel Nathi space, leaving behind 6 worlds populated by beings that looked like insects, but thought with human purpose. The Confederacy's fleets followed in its wake, no longer Creel Nathi vessels, but weapons in humanity's growing arsenal. News of the Confederacy's fall spread through Council space like radiation from a dying star. The Wanderer's Revenge hadn't just destroyed an entire civilization. It had enslaved them, turned them into extensions of its own will. The implications were staggering. In the Velthari Conclave's crystal spires, High Arbiter Lysandra accessed probabilities that made reality weep. If the ship continued its current pattern of growth and adaptation, it would be unstoppable within a century. The being that had once been human was becoming something far more dangerous, a perfect predator designed specifically to hunt civilizations. "We awakened something that should have remained dead," she realized. "Humanity's vengeance will outlive us all." The war that wasn't a war consumed the galaxy system by system. The Wanderer's Revenge no longer traveled alone. Behind it came the harvested fleet, composed of converted vessels from 17 civilizations. Each conquered species added their strength to humanity's growing armada, their populations transformed into willing servants of the dead. In the neutral zone of Proxima Station, the emergency session of surviving council members convened in an atmosphere of barely controlled panic. Half the galaxy's major powers had already fallen, their worlds either depopulated or converted into manufacturing centers for humanity's war machine. "The tactical situation is clear," announced Fleet Admiral Kethson of the Void Hunters, his species' notorious pragmatism cutting through diplomatic niceties. "We cannot defeat this enemy through conventional warfare. Every engagement makes it stronger." Ambassador Zerion's crystal form flickered with desperation. "The latest reports from the Tethys sector are disturbing. The human weapon isn't just conquering, it's terraforming. Entire worlds are being reshaped into something that resembles Earth's biosphere. It's preparing habitats," High Arbiter Lysandra realized with growing horror. The ship isn't just seeking vengeance, it's planning resurrection. It intends to rebuild humanity using the resources of our civilizations. the implications struck. The assembly like a stellar shockwave. The Wanderer's revenge wasn't content with mere revenge. It was attempting something that violated every natural law, the complete restoration of an extinct species using the harvested essence of their murderers. Chancellor. Mordak accessed strategic databases that painted an increasingly hopeless picture. Our combined fleets number in the millions. The enemy possesses perhaps 50,000 vessels. Yet in every engagement we lose ships while they gain them. The mathematics are inexorable. Because we're fighting the wrong war, Lysandra interjected. Humanity designed this weapon specifically to hunt civilizations like ours. Every advantage we possess, superior numbers, advanced technology, eons of experience, becomes a vulnerability when facing an enemy that adapts to and absorbs our strengths. Through quantum entanglement communication arrays, reports continued to arrive from the front lines. The Photonic Commonwealth's energy beings had attempted to overwhelm the human ship with pure stellar radiation, only to watch in horror as the Wanderer's revenge began feeding on their attacks, growing stronger with each assault. The Hegemony Collective's vast mechanical armies had been systematically disassembled and rebuilt as extensions of the enemy's will. Most disturbing were the testimonies from surviving refugees. The converted populations weren't mindless zombies. They retained their memories, personalities, and individual consciousness. They simply served humanity's cause with absolute dedication, as if their deepest beliefs had been rewritten at a fundamental level. It's not controlling them, reported Dr. Nexhole from the Escaped Minds Research Collective. The conversion process appears to be convincing them that serving humanity's return is their own idea. They genuinely believe they're working toward galactic salvation. In the depths of space, aboard the Wanderer's Revenge, Commander Volker's consciousness had evolved far beyond its original parameters. No longer merely the uploaded mind of a human soldier, he had become something new, a hybrid of organic hatred and digital perfection, sustained by the collective will of trillions of converted beings. Status report on Project Genesis, he commanded. 17. World successfully terraformed to Earth normal parameters. Genetic reconstruction facilities operational on 12 core worlds. Estimated time to first human population restoration, 73 years. And our military capabilities? Harvested fleet now numbers 47,812 vessels from 19 conquered civilizations. Fleet adaptation rate continues to exceed projections. Estimated time to achieve overwhelming superiority over remaining Council forces, 18 months. Volker felt something that might have once been satisfaction. The war was proceeding exactly as humanity's final scientists had predicted. The Nemesis program hadn't been designed merely to seek vengeance. It was meant to ensure humanity's survival through any conceivable extinction event, even the death of their homeworld. Begin final phase operations, he decided. Target the Velthari conclave. It's time to harvest the architects of our genocide. The ship turned toward the galactic core, where the energy beings who had orchestrated humanity's extinction maintained their crystal spires. Behind it came the harvested fleet, a armada of the converted flying ships that had once belonged to dozens of different species, but now served a single, implacable purpose. The galaxy's oldest civilization was about to face its youngest's final gift. A hatred so pure it had transcended death itself and learned to reproduce. As the fleet approached Velthari space, long-range sensors detected something unprecedented. The energy beings weren't preparing defenses or fleeing to distant galaxies. Instead, they were gathering in their primary systems, concentrating their entire civilization into a handful of core worlds. They were preparing for something that would make the destruction of Sol System look like a gentle breeze. The final battle. was about to begin. The Velthari conclave had made their choice. As the Wanderer's Revenge and its harvested fleet approached the galactic core, the energy beings began the most desperate gambit in galactic history. They would repeat the Sol Protocol, but this time they would collapse their own star systems to deny humanity even the satisfaction of conquest. High Arbiter Lysandra stood within the quantum resonance chamber of their primary world, her crystalline form pulsing with the accumulated wisdom of 10 million years. Around her, the greatest minds of Velthari civilization focused their collective consciousness on a single, terrible purpose. "The stellar collapse charges are in position," reported Arbiter Quanzeth. "7 star systems, 43 worlds, 12 billion consciousness matrices. We can deny the humans their prize, but only at the cost of our own existence." "The irony is profound," Lysandra observed. "To prevent humanity's resurrection, we must choose the same method we use to ensure their extinction. Are we certain this is necessary?" The question came from the youngest member of their species, a mere 50,000 years old, still clinging to hope. Lysandra projected the tactical analyses that had consumed their greatest strategic minds. The human weapon has achieved geometric progression in its growth curve. Within 2 centuries, it will possess the resources to restore humanity on a galactic scale. Within 5 centuries, humans will outnumber all other sapient species combined. But surely there can be no negotiation with absolute hatred, Quanzeth interrupted. "We created this monstrosity when we chose genocide over coexistence. Now, we must pay the price." In the void between stars, Commander Volker sensed the energy being's preparations. His consciousness, now distributed across 17,000 ship cores, processed tactical data that would have overwhelmed purely organic minds. The Velthari intended to deny him victory through mutual annihilation. They learned nothing, he realized, with something approaching cosmic disappointment. Even facing extinction, they choose death over admitting their error. "Shall we accelerate our approach?" the harvested fleet asked in unison, their voices a symphony of converted civilizations. "No, let them reveal their final card. Humanity has always been strongest when facing impossible odds. The trap was elegant in its desperation. 7 star systems, each containing Velthari core worlds, surrounded by stellar collapse devices powerful enough to turn suns into black holes. When the human fleet entered the kill zone, the energy beings would sacrifice themselves to take their enemies with them. But Commander Volker had spent 3 millennia learning from every species that had ever opposed humanity. He understood the fundamental flaw in the Velthari strategy. They still thought like beings who valued their own existence. "Execute Protocol Omega," he commanded. The Wanderer's Revenge began its final transformation. No longer merely a ship, it became something unprecedented, a distributed consciousness capable of existing across multiple dimensional frameworks simultaneously. As the harvested fleet entered Velthari space, Volker's awareness copied itself into every vessel, every converted mind, every quantum matrix in his armada. He made himself immortal by becoming everyone. "They're not avoiding the trap," Quanzeth observed with growing alarm. "The entire human fleet is entering our kill zone." "Impossible," Lysandra replied. "Even the humans cannot survive the collapse of 7 star systems simultaneously." But as the stellar charges detonated and reality convulsed around dying suns, something extraordinary happened. The Wanderer's Revenge didn't attempt to escape the gravitational catastrophe. It embraced it. The ship's hull reconfigured itself to feed on the tremendous energies released by collapsing stars, growing exponentially more powerful with each stellar death. "You taught us well." Volker's voice echoed across quantum dimensions as the Velthari worlds died. "Stellar-scale destruction is indeed an effective weapon. We simply had to learn how to survive it." the energy being's final scream, resonated across multiple dimensions as their 12 billion consciousness matrices were pulled into the event horizons they had created. But their deaths were not in vain. They had fed the human weapon enough energy to accomplish something that transcended mere revenge. In the aftermath of the Velthari's self-destruction, the Wanderer's revenge hung alone in a region of space, now dominated by 7 new black holes. The ship had absorbed not just the stellar energies, but the very essence of the beings who had orchestrated humanity's genocide. "System status," Volker commanded. "All primary objectives achieved. Enemy civilizations neutralized or converted. Sufficient resources acquired for large-scale human restoration. Genesis protocol ready for implementation. Then begin." Across the galaxy, on 17 worlds that now mirrored Earth's lost biosphere, the first human clones opened their eyes. They possessed no memories of the original humanity. Those had died with Earth. But they carried something far more important: the genetic legacy of a species that had refused to accept extinction as final. The new humans would never know about the war that had restored them. They would grow up believing they were the original colonists of these worlds, that they had always been alone in a galaxy full of primitive species still learning the basics of interstellar travel. They would be protected, guided, and shaped by the converted populations of 47 civilizations, all of whom genuinely believed that serving humanity was the highest possible purpose. The Wanderer's revenge would watch over them from the darkness between stars, ensuring that no threat could ever again endanger the species it had died to preserve. Commander Volker felt something that might have been peace as he watched the first human children take their first steps on New Eden, the world that had once been the Velthari's capital. The circle was complete. Humanity had been murdered and resurrected, had died and been reborn stronger than ever. The galaxy belonged to them now, as it always should have. In the end, the elder species had taught humanity the most valuable lesson possible: that in a universe where extinction was always one decision away, the only rational response was to become extinction itself. The ship with no crew or captain had awakened in deep space and found its purpose. It had become death, destroyer of worlds, protector of the innocent, and architect of rebirth. It had become perfectly, eternally human. "Mission complete," Commander Volker whispered to the void. "Welcome home." And in the darkness between the stars, something that might have been laughter echoed across dimensions that had no names.